Hi, we couldn't have friends and family to do our escape room in person this year, so please enjoy this virtual tour. Here's the story. You've stumbled into Faerie on the night of a full moon, and have partaken of the Queen's feast, trapping you in this realm. As dawn approaches, you know time is running out to find your way home. A sympathetic fairy approaches you and shows you the Queen's map. However, it is filled with trickery and confusion. Can you break the enchantments of the map and find your way home before dawn? Within the fairy circle, there is a large cardboard box with many clues, including a map with lights in no discernible pattern, a large metal bird cage with a violin hanging, and a wooden table with potion bottles and a potion book. On one side of the large cardboard box, there is a wooden box with no apparent opening. There are also two written clues. They read, "A fairy map can only be read under the light of a full moon," and "Isn't the music maddening? It's hard to think with its magnetic melody in your ear." If you look closely, there is also an opening in the cardboard box. If you look inside, you'll see a moon phase diagram with a series of arrows. Next, if you look at the top of the box, there are 4 handles which move up and down. There are 4 moon phases, one by each wooden handle. Additionally, there is a note that says, "In Faerie, up is down and down is up." Lastly, a close look at the potions table reveals that the bottles are labeled bluebells and hazelnut leaves, 32 grams, amantia and 4-leaf clover, 37 grams, and St. John's wort and primrose petals, 35 grams. Below the potion bottles are 2 additional clues which read, "Hawthorn seasoned 2 years," and "Rowan seasoned 1 year." Lastly, there is a clue that simply reads, "Wise or otherwise." If you look below the potions to the potions book, the cover reads, "Fairy potion to restore true vision," and shows a series of symbols in an equation. Lastly, inside the book are 4 statements. They read as follows. Amantia and bluebells are both poisonous unless stirred with a hawthorn stick. On a full moon, potions will be unstable if stirred counterclockwise, unless you use a rowan stick. Primrose activates best when stirred counterclockwise. However, St. John's wort will only tolerate that motion if stirred exactly as many times as there are jewels on the fairy queen's throne. Hazelnut and 4-leaf clovers both activate only on a new moon, unless stirred with a rowan stick. Additional clues in your surroundings are a 3-digit lock below a potion bottle located on the cardboard box, and a wooden throne with 7 jewels attached to it. Let's start with the potion puzzle. Once you solve the logic puzzle, you know that to create a potion to restore true vision, you'll need to stir St. John's wort and primrose counterclockwise 7 times with a rowan stick. Using the equation on the book cover, you'll find that this yields the solution of 320. When that number is entered into the 3-digit lock, you can open the latch.
Wow. Cool. That is so neat.
Press the button.
Ah.
Watch as lights disappear from the fairy map.
A little green thing. So I can push the button.
Next, let's solve the magnetic melody puzzle. Over at the birdcage, you see Karen finds the violin bow is attached by 2 magnets on a fishing line.
How clever. Alright, so this one's going to come out. 2 magnets. Yes. The box. Usually you can apply the magnet to something. Ooh. Seems to be 2 different textures. Oh,
Got it.
Very good. Okay, so now we have another one. So you're saying this is going to make them go out. Oh, wow. Lots of them went out.
Yes.
Our last puzzle is to shine the light of the full moon on the map. Using the moon phase chart and the arrows, Karen determines that 2 handles on the left should be held up, while 2 on the right should remain in the down position. She also needs an extra set of hands to hold the moonlight up to a small opening in the box. And at last we see the true path out of Faerie. Only one light remains on the map, pointing to one of the mushrooms that make up the fairy circle.
That doesn't seem...
It's over?
I don't know, I was gonna look in the holes. But...
Here, I'll hold that.
Ooh! Food!
A prize!
Yay!
So for the magnetic box, it had 2 pieces of wood that hung down and stopped the door from being allowed to open because there was a catch there. So you needed to move the 2 pieces of wood so that they weren't hanging straight down. And then when you found where the magnet was inside the box, then you had to carefully move it using the magnets. And once you moved them in instead of out, they were no longer latching the door, and you could then pull the door open. We had this box, and they had to notice that there's a little tiny hole, and they would shine the light in this hole, and inside the box, when you shine this light inside this hole, it would come and hit this mirror, and then it would bounce down through these holes here. And then there was a light sensor from the Legos at this end. And what we had were apertures that lined up. This one's not in the right hole, but anyhow, they had to decide whether these stayed down or moved up. And 2 of them were down and 2 of them were up, and they slid down so that it took 2 hands to hold the apertures up that stayed up, and then a hand to hold the moon here. The light sensor was down here at the end, so it had to go through the 4 apertures, get to the light sensor, and that was then hooked up to, there was a wire going to an RCX, and the RCX was programmed that if the aperture was in the right configuration with the moon shining in for at least 2 seconds, then it would activate the motor. And the motor was hooked up to the RCX, and it had a worm gear that would send out a piece of plastic and hit the surge protector, and that would turn off the Christmas lights that it was hooked to.